Here's a lesson on number sets. In this lesson, I'll teach you what a set is, the proper notation for describing sets, and we'll also look at a few different sets of numbers that you should know. So let's start with the definition of a set. A set is a collection of objects, such as numbers, that all have a common property, and the order in the set does not matter. And now to show you what set notation looks like, let's write the set of primary colors. So inside of curly brackets, I can list the three primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, separated by commas. Those are all of the primary colors. This set only involves three elements. That's why this is called a finite set. But if we look at the next set, it says to write the set of all colors. Well, if I was going to try and write the set of all colors, inside of curly brackets, I could write colors, once again, such as red, yellow, and blue, but I could also write any other color, such as green or yellow, or so on. These three dots here are called an ellipsis, and that just means this set continues on forever. This is what we call an infinite set. There would be no way to write all of the possible colors. The wavelength of visible light falls on a continuous spectrum where technically there's an infinite number of colors possible, which is why it's important for an infinite set to use this ellipsis to show that it goes on forever. And notice when writing those sets, I used curly brackets, or what we call braces, and then I separated the elements with commas. And I mentioned that those three dots means that it continues on forever. Sometimes ellipsis can be used in the middle of a set for efficiency purpose. For example, the set of letters in the English alphabet, we could start with A, B, C, and then use the ellipsis to show there's a bunch more in the middle, and then it finishes with X, Y, and Z. So that's a situation where an ellipsis is just used for efficiency, but it doesn't mean that that's an infinite set. And sets can also be defined alternatively based on their properties. And that method is called set builder notation. So if we see a notation like this, it means the set of all x's such that x is bigger than 0. So that would include numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, and so on, an infinite number of values. But this set builder notation more efficiently describes that set of values than trying to list them all out. And the last definition we need before we get into doing some questions is about a subset. A subset is a set that contains only elements found in another set, its parent set. So for example, if we look back to the two sets we wrote at the beginning of this lesson, the set of primary colors is a subset of the set of all colors, because in the primary colors, it involves only elements that we can find within the set of all colors. So primary colors are a subset of all colors. And the notation we use for describing subsets, if A is a subset of B, we write it like this. We write A, and then a sideways U that kind of looks like a C, and then a line underneath of it, and then B. This means that A is a subset of B. This means that all of the elements of A are also elements of B. And the fact that there's a line underneath that sideways U allows for the possibility that A is actually equal to B, or that A is the empty set, or what we call the null set. So to help you understand this idea about subsets, let's do example 1, where it says state all the subsets of A, where A is the set of numbers 1 and 2. Well, for it to be a subset of A, it can only contain elements that are within A. So it could be this set here that involves just the number 1. It could be the set that involves just the number 2. But then also, it could involve all of the numbers that are within A. It could also actually be equal to set A. So it could be the set 1, 2. Or remember, it could also be the empty set or the null set, which we can just write with two curly brackets with nothing within them. So there are 4 possible subsets of A. In all 4 of these sets, there are no elements in any of the 4 of those sets that are not also within A, which is why these are all considered subsets of A. Now let's try the next one, example 2, where we state all the different possible subsets of B. And B involves 3 numbers, the numbers 1, 2, and 3. Let's start with the simplest subset, which would just be the empty set, the set with no elements within it. Or we could have a set that just has a 1, or just a 2, or just a 3. Or we could have a set that involves any 2 of those three numbers. So it could be the set that involves 1 and 2, or 2 and 3, or 1 and 3. Or it could be the set that contains all three values, and it's actually equal to set B. So those are all of the possible subsets of B. All of the elements within any of those sets are also elements of B. And remember, within each of these sets, so for example, this set 2, 3, the order of the elements does not matter. The set 2, 3 and 3, 2 would be considered the exact same set, which is why we don't have to write them both, because they would contain the same elements. And now moving on to the next section, we're going to learn a shortcut for determining how many possible subsets there are of any given parent set. So set A had 2 elements, and how many different subsets were possible for a parent set that had 2 elements? There are 1, 2, 3, 4 possible subsets. If the parent set has 3 elements, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 possible subsets. So I don't know if you see, but notice the number of subsets possible is equal to 2 to the power of n. Right? Parent set A had 2 elements, 2 squared is 4. And parent set B had 3 elements, and 2 cubed is 8. So just do 2 to the power of n, where n is the size of the parent set, and that tells you how many possible subsets there are. And now let's move on to part 2, where we look at the different subsets of real numbers. And these are going to be sets of numbers that you need to become familiar with. So first of all, what is a real number? Real numbers are the set of all numbers that can be found anywhere on a number line. This includes both rational and irrational numbers. Real numbers can be expressed as decimals, which may terminate, repeat, or continue indefinitely without repetition. So all of these integer values that you see on the number line, those are real numbers, but so are fractions like 1/3, or the decimal value negative 2.5, or the irrational numbers like √2, or pi. So everything you see there is a real number. Could be a whole number, negative or positive, could be 0, could be a fraction which has a decimal value that repeats, could be a terminating decimal that could be expressed as a fraction, or it could be irrational numbers whose decimal values go on forever and don't have any repetition. And let's more clearly define all of those subsets of real numbers that we were talking about. The first one we want to talk about is the set of natural numbers. The set of natural numbers are just the counting numbers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So in set notation, they would look like this. And notice based on these 3 dots, this is an infinite set. It does continue forever. But an important thing to note here is that this set does not include 0. It starts at the number 1. And this symbol to represent this set of natural numbers is this capital N. For sets of numbers, often you see these block-style capital letters. So this n means the set of natural numbers. Next, let's look at the set of whole numbers, which we use a W for. The whole numbers are just the natural numbers, but also 0. So in set notation, it looks like this. So looking back at our number line, these whole numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those are the natural numbers, and then if we include 0, that becomes the set of whole numbers. And now if we want to include the negative numbers, we call that the set of integers. Integers are both positive and negative whole numbers, including 0. So to write the set of integers, it's an infinite set that continues forever in both the negative and positive direction. So I could start by writing an ellipsis, and then -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and then it's going to continue forever in the positive direction as well. So I'll use my 3 dots over there to show that it continues forever. And next we have rational numbers. Rational numbers are numbers that can be expressed as a fraction p over q, where p and q are both integers and q is not 0. And because this set of numbers would be so dense, meaning within any interval there would be an infinite number of possible values, I'm not going to try and list them within set notation. I'm instead just going to give you some examples of rational numbers. Any whole number would count, or any fraction that involves integers in the top and bottom, or any decimal that terminates would indicate that it can be expressed as a fraction, or any decimal value that repeats, like 0.6 repeated. So those are all examples of rational numbers. And the capital letter Q is for rational numbers. Oh, and I think I forgot to mention for integers, we use a capital Z. And now let's move on to irrational numbers, where you can use a capital P or a Q with an apostrophe after it. That means just not rational. And the definition of irrational are just numbers that cannot be expressed as fractions of integers. And some examples of irrational numbers would be the square root of 2, Euler's number e, or pi, or any decimal value that goes on forever and has no repeats. So I'll just make one up here as an example, like 2.23606797775, and so on, continuing forever with no repetition. But I put a note here at the bottom just to remind you that if we did have a decimal value that did terminate or has a pattern that repeats, then it could be expressed as a fraction, so it would be rational. But a decimal number is irrational if it does not terminate and does not have a pattern that repeats. And now let's look at a Venn diagram that is going to show you the relationship between all of these different sets that we just looked at. I'm going to label at the top real numbers, and all real numbers are either rational or irrational, where irrational numbers are numbers that cannot be expressed as a fraction, and the examples of values were like e or pi or root 2. But if a real number is rational, that means it can be expressed as a fraction. And some examples of fraction. And so some examples of rational numbers would be things such as 2/3 or 9/4. Or it could actually be any integer value, right? All integer values, for example, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, those all can be expressed as fractions. They're all over 1. So they are all rational, but they're a subset of rational numbers. They're all the positive and negative whole numbers, including 0. And because it's a subset of rational numbers, notice I drew the set of integers within the set of rational numbers. Every integer is within the set of rational numbers. And then remember, there's also a subset of integers. The set of whole numbers would be the positive counting numbers and 0. So they are a subset of the integers. So I'll draw that set within the set of integers. And then lastly, we can also make a subset of whole numbers, which would be the set of counting numbers not including 0. So 1, 2, and so on. And we call those the natural numbers. So I'll draw that set within the set of whole numbers. And let me remind you about the symbols we can use for each of these sets. Real numbers, we use a capital R. Rational numbers, we use Q. Irrational, we can use P. Integers, we use a Z. Whole numbers, we use W. And natural numbers, we use N. And to summarize how all these sets fit together, notice natural numbers are a subset of whole numbers. And the reason why is because all of the natural numbers are within the set of whole numbers. And then the set of whole numbers is a subset of the set of integers. And that's because all of the whole numbers can be found within the set of integers. And then integers are a subset of rational numbers, because every integer could be found within the set of rational numbers. Every integer is a rational value. It can be expressed as a fraction. And then all of these fall within the set of real numbers, where real numbers could be either rational or irrational. So I should draw a bigger rectangle that encompasses all of the real numbers. Every real number is either rational or irrational. So rational numbers and irrational numbers are both subsets of real numbers. And now in the next example, let's see if we can write down the following sets of numbers. A says the set of all whole numbers less than 4. Well, remember, whole numbers were the natural numbers and 0, so the positive counting numbers and 0. So all whole numbers less than 4 would include 0, 1, 2, and 3. Part B says the set of all integers that are multiples of 3. Well, this would be an infinite set in both the positive and negative direction. So my set will start with an ellipsis and end with an ellipsis. And then integer multiples of 3 would mean take any integer, so any positive or negative whole number or 0, and then multiply it by 3. Well, -3 times 3 is negative 9, negative 2 times 3 is negative 6, negative 1 times 3 is negative 3, and so on. So if I took the integer values between negative 3 and 3 and multiply them by 3, I would get these values. And then these dots indicate that this set continues forever in both directions. It's an infinite set. Part C says the set of all odd natural numbers. Well, the natural numbers were the positive counting numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. But I just want to write the set of odd natural numbers. So that would include just 1, 3, 5, 7, and so on. This is another infinite set. I'll write the 3 dots to show that it continues forever. And then part D is given in set builder notation. It says the set of all x values given x is equal to 2n, where n is an element of the natural numbers. So to make that list, let me just write down the set of natural numbers off to the side here. So this notation just tells me I need to do 2 times n to get the elements of this set, where n could be any number that's an element of this set. So I need to do 2 times each of these values to get the numbers in my new set. Well, 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. And so on. And what you can see we're generating here is just the even natural numbers. And that set would continue forever. And the last example of this lesson, it just says each of these numbers, which subset or subsets does each number belong to? So this number, negative 3, if we look back up to our Venn diagram of our sets, negative 3 is not a natural number. It's not a whole number, but negative 3 is an integer, and all integers are rational numbers, and all rational numbers are real numbers. So negative 3 belongs to the set of integers, and the set of rational numbers, and the set of real numbers. If we were able to list out all of the values in those 3 sets, you would find negative 3 in all 3 of those sets. So we'll write those down. Part B is the number 0. 0 is not a natural number. Natural numbers don't include 0, but it is a whole number, which is a subset of integers. So it's also within the set of integers, and it's also within the set of rational numbers, and also within the set of real numbers. So 0 is within all of those sets. Root 3, however, is an irrational number. So it's an irrational number, meaning it belongs to this set of irrational numbers. And irrational numbers are a subset of real numbers, so it belongs to the irrational and the real numbers. And then lastly, we have 0.45 repeated. Because it has a pattern that repeats, we know that it can be expressed as a fraction, meaning it is a rational number. And all rational numbers are also real numbers, right? Rational numbers are a subset of real numbers. So this 0.45 repeated is a rational number, Q, and it also belongs to the set of real numbers. And that's it for this lesson. Make sure you go to jensenmath.ca so you can get the worksheet that goes along with this lesson to practice your new understanding of number sets.
Jensen